breaking news from Real America's Voice.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. We do have some breaking news this morning. Just the News and the New York Post are reporting that the FBI has raided President Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton's home. The raid was reportedly ordered by FBI Director Kash Patel, and the New York Post is reporting that it's related to classified documents. We will have more updates as they come into our newsroom. For more, let's bring in former CIA agent, author, and the CEO of Secure Anchor, Dr. Eric Cole. Dr. Cole, what do you make of this breaking news this morning, raid on John Bolton's home?
It's very interesting because the point is they're not looking for physical documents. They're looking for electronic records. And unfortunately for John, if you have USB drives, backups, laptops, or computers, most likely they're going to be seizing all of that information. And not only can they get the information on what they're looking for, but a whole lot of other information about his life, what he's doing, and where he's been.
But how prepared was he for this raid? Because, Doctor, he's the one who was saying when regarding Kash Patel's nomination that he would be retaliatory, right? So Eric Bolton, where did that come from? John Bolton had to know this was coming.
You would think, but from all my channels and everyone I've talked to, this is really a bit of a surprise. Like normally we know about things 24, 48 hours ahead of time. There's sort of an idea that it's happening, but this one has been kept pretty under wraps for the most part. So I haven't talked to John, but I'm not sure if he knew or didn't know, but it was a surprise to most of us.
Hey, I'm just curious. You said that they're going to be looking for probably electronic records, not physical records. Please help me understand. Electronic records ultimately can't really be wiped. They can find information on that once it's imprinted on there in some way. You can't wipe it apart from burning it. Am I correct there? Or I'm not the tech guy, so please help me.
You sound like a tech guy. You're very smart, my friends. You're right. There's no delete button on the internet. People don't realize that. But when you go in and delete text messages or delete pictures or other things, they still reside on that. I've worked on cases where people have deleted messages from their iPhone 6 or 7 months ago, and we were able to recover all of the pictures, all of the information, all of the text messages. So the important thing for people to remember is once you hit send, that information will live forever.
Hey, just a quick follow-up here. Sources are calling this a national security investigation in search of classified records. Is the national security part the fact that there may be classified documents that were held privately? Is that the national security aspect to this, or do you think there may be more?
So we have little information, but from what I'm seeing and what happens in previous cases, most likely many of us back up our information onto hard drives or others. We saw when Hillary Clinton was head of state, she had servers in her area that backed up. Elon Musk had his own servers, and I'm sure John probably had his own backups of systems. So people are very customary to protecting and tracking their records. So my guess is John probably had a lot of information that he probably shouldn't have had. And the question is, what were they looking for?
Okay.
Yeah, that is certainly going to be the question. I know the president is supposed to be speaking to the media a little later today. We may have some more details about what really took place this morning during that raid. My question has been, is this the first of many? Is this, making an example here, but we're going to see more raids like this to come? What are your thoughts on that?
This is just the beginning, right? You're going to see a lot more of these. And the other thing we have to remember is even if we're not as important as John or a political appointee, how easy would it be if somebody came to our house for them to plug in a USB drive to copy our data or pick up a hard drive? So we just have to be really careful of our data and information, where we store it and how we protect it.
Also, Dr. Cole, President Trump is leaving the details of a potential Putin-Zelensky meeting to the respective countries at this point. These two men reportedly last night met in 2019, or not last night, met last, there you go, in 2019. Can't talk today, it's such a Friday. And they've been locked in a war for more than 3 years. How important is this meeting, and do you think it will happen?
The meeting is political theater. When they meet, it's all about the pictures, the formalities. There really isn't a lot that gets done. What's getting done is what's happening right now, where all of their advisors and all of their appointees are communicating and messaging information. Each side is trying to get the other data. Look at what happened in January with the head of Department of Defense, where he used his personal phone and used a public application to send sensitive war plans to the wrong people. Imagine that going on at a larger scale. So what we're seeing on the forefront is all political drama, but the real drama is who can access each other's information to get the upper hand of what they're going to do.
From political drama to some of the X's and O's, if you will, of this potential war or conflict, Politico reporting that the Pentagon has said the U.S. will play a minimal role in Ukraine's security guarantee. That, of course, is a big talking point and one of the linchpins, if you will, in a potential peace agreement. I've been asking this question, so I'd like to get your perspective as well. Does President Trump ultimately have the most to lose in all of these negotiations? He is the face of the negotiations. And if something goes sideways, it seems to me that President Trump is ultimately going to be blamed, whether he's responsible or not, whether the two parties, Ukraine and Russia, who are intimately involved, decide, OK, we're not going to move forward. It's going to all fall back on President Trump, whether he's responsible or not. So does he have the most to lose here?
He actually does. And it was one of those that it was a very interesting play for him to get engaged. Because it's sort of like if you're at a bar and two people are fighting and you get involved, who gets punched? The third guy, right? So Trump, in this case, if he's not careful, he's the one that's now going to get blamed for the war, the failure of the negotiations. But on the other hand, I've learned from watching President Trump, both this year and his prior 4 years, he doesn't start a fight that he can't win. So I'm pretty sure he knows that he's going to be able to end this war. Otherwise, he wouldn't have engaged in the negotiations.
Absolutely. I think President Trump does deserve a little bit of credit here, actually a lot of credit. This is the closest that we have been to ending this war in the past 3 years. I mean, the closest that these two have gotten to reaching some kind of an agreement. Obviously, we don't know what the fine details of that looks like, but it looks like it's going to be some land for some security guarantees. What do you think the U.S. involvement should look like?
To me, the U.S. involvement should be as stealthy as possible because we don't want to send troops or military on either side because we want to be the neutral third party. However, as we know with the previous president, there was a strong ally towards Ukraine. But what we were doing is we were supporting them a lot more on the cyber side. For example, in my opinion, a lot of the attacks that the Ukraine did where they actually took over drones from Russia and used them against them was part of technology that the U.S. provided to them. So imagine Russia getting all this technology in these attack drones and then the Ukraine hacking them and using them against Russia.
So there's, all the rumors, all the things going around. Where do you think this finally settles? How can this come to the right end and where fewer people die and they get it together? I mean, can that happen?
Yeah, yes, to me, the way things are going is there'll be a ceasefire probably within at least 30 days. Mm-hmm. And by the end of the year, the war will be over. And what Trump's doing is by putting the U.S. involved, he's able to give things, either lifting sanctions or tariffs or others to Russia and Ukraine, so both sides can look like they win. So that's the advantage that Trump's playing. By U.S. getting involved, he can now go in and make it look like that both Ukraine and Russia won the war.
Well, Dr. Eric Cole, thank you so much for your time and for weighing in on all of the breaking news this morning at John Bolton's home. The electronic side of things was really interesting, and, details will continue to unfold throughout our show. Thank you again for joining us.
Thanks so much.
Thanks. Coming up, leave it to Caroline. The White House press secretary slams the legacy media for how it has covered the Ukraine peace process. We have her comments next on American Sunrise.